Hello again. Well, you all have been saying that I should get back to looking at Through the Looking Glass. Well, all three of you. But before we do, I must introduce you all to the box. There are going to be a lot of comics and movies that you see on my show, and if they're poorly written, poorly conceived, or if they fail in some other aspects, they will be forever locked away in this box, so that they may never harm the world again. And with that, let's once again go down the rabbit hole and into Through the Looking Glass. Wait. That's something that bugs me about this title. Why is it called Through the Looking Glass? Batman goes into Wonderland by going down a floor drain. There's no looking glass go-throughing of any kind. Why not just call it Batman's Adventures in Wonderland? Where we last left our heroes, a politician murdered. A white rabbit late for a very important date. Batman in pursuit. Holy retcon! Something about mushrooms. Then, from out of nowhere, the Mad Hatter. But wait, the most confusing is yet to come. Chapter 2 opens with a 2-page spread of Batman and the Mad Hatter in his hat store when we were still outside on the very last page. Transitions? What are those?
See anything you like? My own chapeau, perhaps?
Only on a pike. Sorry, Bats, but a hat on a stick just doesn't make for a good threat. And why is the Hatter offering Batman his hat anyway? Isn't that the source of his mind control? And I know I should be reading the Hatter's lines with a more Roddy McDowell-like voice, but just look at this guy! He's freaking Herbert from Family Guy! You entertained at the mayor's banquet last night. Your conjuring sleight of hand. Oh yeah, I failed to mention that back in Chapter 1, Batman briefly mentions that a magician was present at Judge Hart's banquet last night. I guess just as long as he has a big stupid hat, the Mad Hatter can be anything that the writer wants him to be. Did you know Dunphy Tweedle?
By reputation only. I'm an entertainer, not a politician. Though at times they aren't mutually exclusive, I suppose.
What killed the dinosaurs? My time as governor!
How about a nice cup of tea?
And Batman is so offended by the Hatter's offer of tea that he sees spots and collapses. Moving on. Robin returns to the Batcave, but not without putting a tracking device on Batman. He kept ranting on about Celia. What was her story anyway? Wait, Robin doesn't know who Celia is? What happened after he told Alfred to tell him about her? It's been 20 years since I've spoken of her, Master Dick. Well, maybe it's time to start speaking of her again. Yeah, I'm just gonna go looking for Bruce now. Oh, that poor girl. Anyway, Alfred tells her backstory. Daughter of our British housekeeper, Mrs. Little. Oh, but young Master Bruce adored her. Usually, Master Bruce hates British people. Hell, he still calls me butler for most of the time. And why does Alfred point out that Mrs. Little was British? People don't talk about people of their own nationality like that. Was Bruce Jones under the impression that Alfred wasn't British himself? And just in case any of you at home are wondering, Dave here is my brother. And he's my American roommate. Bob? What's that on your head? I don't really know. You look ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, thanks for the little sign to tell us that this little girl in the photo is Celia. There are so many little blonde girls in blue dresses in the story that it's impossible to keep track of who's who. How did she die, Alfred? Diphtheria. Terrible. She and Master Bruce caught it at the same time. He recovered, but Celia... If the volunteer writers at Wikipedia can be believed, diphtheria is an extremely rare disease to catch in developed Western societies. In the United States, only 52 cases were reported between 1980 and 2000. The odds that both Celia and Bruce would catch it at the exact same time are just ridiculous. But even still, it's a fairly easy disease to treat in this day and age. Why did Bruce survive, but Celia didn't? It was always my impression that the help within the Wayne household was always regarded as more than simply the help. Is Thomas Wayne, the most philanthropic medical doctor in Gotham City, really going to let Bruce's best friend die? Don't worry, Bruce. You're going to be as right as rain. Don't worry, Celia. Obamacare will come in 20 years, and then you'll be as right as rain. And now back to more things that don't make any sense. as Batman wakes up not in the Hatter's haberdashery, but in the White Rabbit's house.
If memory serves, breaking and entering is illegal.
If memory serves, so is murder. Wouldn't it make more sense to say that it's illegal to engage in vigilante activity? A few Golden Age comics aside, Batman's not really known for murdering people. Celia hands Batman the Rabbit's newspaper, headlining the murder of another politician. Okay, what the hell is going on here? It can't be more than a few hours since the last newspaper that Batman read. What newspaper releases a new printing every time any new factoids of information come to them? Are they expecting us to believe that in the year 2011, the time of this book's publication, the Gotham Gazette has no idea how the internet works?
Nightly White.
Dead as a dormouse. So he's only asleep then? And Nightly White? Are you serious with that, Bruce Jones? Lapin Blanc, Jimmy Cheshire, now we have Nightly White? Why don't we just name Batman Manny Chiroptera? Batman and Celia look for more clues in the Rabbit's house, despite Celia admitting that the Rabbit may not have anything to do with this, so what the hell are we doing here? And, wait, a rabbit skin rug? Oh my god! The White Rabbit is Wonderland's Leatherface! Celia finds a box of love letters in a secret panel in the Rabbit's chimney.
How do you know they're love letters? There's nothing written on the envelope. It's not even open, Celia.
Someone's coming up the front walk! Quick, hide! Anyone else getting the feeling that Bruce Jones is just kind of winging it here? Batman and Celia hide in the closet, and the Rabbit is furious to find that someone's been eating his chocolates. Is it even worth pointing out that there weren't any chocolates in that box a few panels ago? Anyway, they decided to follow the White Rabbit, how innovative, but the door has been locked. And the doorknob is on the wrong side. They find a hidden doorway that leads up to the croquet field of the Queen of Hearts. How convenient! Batman explains that he's there to investigate the recent murders, but the Queen shoos him away. He then crosses paths with the Mad Hatter's assistant, who is now playing croquet. What's funny is that when I showed this page to Dave, he thought that she was a clever reinterpretation of the flamingo croquet mallets that we see in the original Alice in Wonderland. But since her name is Grace instead of something like Inga Flam or something else equally transparent, I'm just going to assume that this flamingo-like appearance is purely a coincidence. She calls Batman's attention to Harry March at the bar, who's been keeping an eye on her since she left the Hatter's employ. Hatter's got him tailing me. Thick as thieves, those two. Pardon the pun.
What pun? Shut up, he thinks he's witty.
Before Batman can question her further, the Queen breaks them up and tells her to sleep it off since she's had a few too many. And of course she says that while shooting Batman the most suspicious look possible. Batman tries to leave the garden, and another vaguely rabbit-like little man suggests that he leave through the hedge maze. And Batman can't go 3 steps before bumping into Celia again. Before they can examine the love letters that they found earlier, Batman gets jumped by the guy who led him into the maze. He tells Batman to stay away from Grace, and Batman asks, "Who are you, the husband?" "Harry March, her protector! Best not forget the name, Gov!" Wait, this is Harry March? When Harry March is first mentioned, we see this guy taking up most of the panel, and per Grace's earlier assertion, we plainly see him keeping an eye on her. I swear, it's like this comic is trying to fail. After remembering that he's one of the strongest men in the world, Batman takes out Harry March and resumes talking with Celia.
I know you're trying to get my goat again, just like when we were kids.
Never did, though. Never got to you.
Only from the moment we met.
And as if that line wasn't creepy enough by itself, Batman now looks like a decomposing pedophile. Anyway, Batman reads the love letter that Celia's been toting.
2 now taken, 3 are left. The other one adds to the theft. 'Neath the gnome of malcontent, anger brews with Grace's scent.
Wow, and I thought I wrote bad love letters. And why do they keep going on about gnomes?
Oh, gnomes now.
Meanwhile, at the Queen's castle, Grace wakes up after having fallen asleep on the billiard table for some reason. It looks as if the Queen is going to push Grace out the window, and damn, girl! She looks like she's going to push her out the window and then just, slaps her.
I told you to seduce them, not kill them, you stupid cow! Little Batboy better watch where he sticks his cowl before he loses his head.
And considering how Grace has now gone completely off script and is now murdering people instead of just sleeping with them, why isn't she losing her head? Batman and Celia are looking for a way out through the hedge maze, and then Celia shoots him with an arrow fired out of a musket. Huh. I guess Batman's hatred of guns isn't only inspired by his parents' murder, but also by how Celia liked to play firing squad with him. We then cut to Alfred and Robin grabbing Batman with a net.
Don't let them net me.
Okay, seriously, just what the hell is going on here? Looking at how Batman is getting news updates and interacting with people who is at the party, it almost looks like Batman is actually wandering around Gotham and he's only seeing this Wonderland because he's hallucinating, but now it's revealed that he's been in the sewers this whole time? He's putting together pieces of a puzzle that aren't actually there! Chapter 3 opens with Batman being strapped to a table like he was Frankenstein's monster, and with art like this, that's rather fitting. Firing that tranquilizer dart may not have been the best idea I ever had. Wait a minute, if the shot came from in front of Batman, why did he see Celia instead of Robin as the one who shot him? Is Batman just putting her face over everyone else's body now? According to this, his blood is saturated with hydrodroxapine, a hallucinogen with a half-life of 72 hours. A quick Google search for magic mushrooms led me to a naturally occurring compound in over 200 species of mushrooms called psilocybin, which contains hallucinogenic properties. Contrary-wise, a quick Google search of hydrodroxapine just reveals that it's nothing but an awkward-sounding misspelling. Also, for some reason, Robin looks like Mary Steenburgen. Hydrodroxapine originates in a fungus that grows only on beaver pelts. My God! The villain behind this foul plot is actually...
Baron Bad Beaver! Master of really terrible, evil things.
Alfred and Robin leave Batman alone to let him rest, when Celia appears again. She suggests that Batman stretches his arm out long enough to press the release button on the back of the table. And this somehow works. Okay...
Yeah, this is real convenient.
Just imagine it back to normal size, silly. If the imagination is powerful enough to affect reality like this, I'm going to start imagining that this is actually a good comic book. Like Amazon's Attack. Batman follows Celia down the drain once again.
You know, I've got this thing called a Batcopter.
If you think that piloting the Batcopter through the sewers is a good idea, maybe you should sit this one out, Bats. Just saying. Alfred and Robin return to where they left Batman. Surely by now, every trace of this poison in his system has... gone! Apparently this hallucination has been affecting Batman for about 10 hours when they finally caught up with him, and it has a half-life of 72 hours. Did they really just leave Batman alone for 62 hours and are only now checking up on him? Celia notices the tracking device that Robin slipped onto Batman. The hell? Ignoring how impractical it is to hide a collar like this onto someone you're trying to track inconspicuously, how did Robin slip that thing under Batman's cowl? Let's say we give your friend Robin a run for his money.
What is it about your tone that terrifies me?
Nothing! Robin follows the tracking device and finds that it's now been strapped onto a rat. Huh, funny. I didn't know that a rat's torso has the same circumference as a human neck. We then cut to Batman and Celia, who are now on the beach where the Walrus and the Carpenter are walking close at hand. I have to give some points to Sam Keith for including both the sun doing his very best to make the billows smooth and bright, and the moon to show that this is happening in the middle of the night. However, he loses a few points for including a washing machine that's there for absolutely no reason. I did not vote for that measure.
You most certainly did, and look where it's got us.
Walking on the beach like you guys always are? After the beach turns into a parking garage, they go their separate ways. The Carpenter going to see his wife, and the Walrus to his date with the Duchess.
Dennis Carpenter and Big Dave Russwald, members of the City Council. But who's the Duchess?
If the rest of the names in this comic are any indication, just look for Duchess in the Gotham City phone book, and I'm sure you'll have only one match. So they decided to find out who the Duchess is by... following Dennis Carpenter. What? And the elevator walls start closing in on them. You're big and strong! Think of something!
Sum of the square roots of any two sides of an isosceles triangle is equal to the square root of the remaining side.
The elevator crushes them into nothing, and then they just rematerialize in an open field somewhere next to a couple of beavers. Oh, it's a beaver! Is that prussic acid? No, it's not. The beavers aren't real. You're still in the sewer. Batman still wants to get to City Hall, and Celia wonders what time it is. And suddenly a tree with a clock in it bursts out of the ground. Gee, I wonder when some horrible monster will come out of nowhere and take this comic away from me and eat it! Moving on, then. Also, in a land where it's the norm for clocks to be able to tell the time, day, and what month it is, why does this clock only have one hand? And what is it even doing here, since the time has no bearing on this story in any way whatsoever? They spot another tree that I guess was supposed to be the walrus's house. Was Bruce Jones under the impression that walruses are a species of giant squirrel? And Celia suggests that they break through the door.
There are laws against that. There are laws against that.
You're a vigilante who's been working outside the confines of the law for almost 80 years now. Do these people have any idea who Batman actually is? Anyway, Batman remembers that breaking and entering is part of his shtick, and he falls through the door where Celia is already waiting for him on the inside. Are you telling me that she could have gotten there at any time?
No, not at any time. Only when it was funny.
They hear some giggling coming from down the hall.
They could be... You have heard of sex, right?
Comes right before 7, doesn't it?
Oh my god, she's going to get the talk from the Batman. Celia, today I'm going to talk to you about the birds and the bees. My god.
Batman kicks the door open, and then gets bashed over the head with something that I'm glad we can't really see distinctly. He proceeds to get thrown around, and eventually gets tossed out the window of a building several stories high. He finds the walrus, Russ Wall, hanging from the wall next to him, apparently dead. A hand reaches down to help him.
Alicia, fancy meeting you here, Duchess.
Oh my god, it was Alicia who was the Duchess! That means that... Wait, what? Who the hell is Alicia? How did Batman recognize that woman when she's only a silhouette? What does her being Duchess mean about anything? This comic is horrible! And I've still got 2 chapters left to go. Batman Through the Looking Glass, heed my words. Either you turn your life around and start being a good comic, or you will be ever forced to rot inside the box!
Now, a hat is a wonderful thing, you see. Everyone's got its own personality. You just slip it on, and instantly you can be anybody that you want to be. You like hats? I'm mad about hats. Now, say I want to be like WC. I just slip this on, and magically there's something strange comes over me.
Anything for you, my little chickadee.
You like hats? I'm mad about hats. Now, some of these hats aren't mad at all.
Some are quite reserved. Some are quiet and small.
Some are more daring, they laugh at fate. It's a matter of taste, but it must be great.
You like hats? I'm mad about hats. Now, it's amazing how a hat can change your style. You can go high fashion.
You know I'm wild.
You can try on hats from all over the world. I got hats for boys, hats for girls.
I got hats for the working man.
Hats for fun.
Hats for the winter and
Hats for your son.
Hats for the hunter and
hats for the game.
Hats for the little girl who lives down the lane.
Oh!
You like hats? I'm mad about hats.